Namaskar, everyone. So I'll start with uh, you know, the introduction about my company. There was some issues regarding my presentation. They're trying to resolve that. Yeah, it's done now. Yeah. So our organization NSF is 75 years old company in public health. It started from University of Michigan's Public Health Engineering Department, and from where we started. Next slides, please. Next, please. Next, please. Again, next. So actually, NSF is an independent, not-for-profit, non-governmental organization based in Michigan, Ann Arbor. Our main mission has always been improving and protecting human and planet health. Next slide, please. I'll quickly go through this. We are in 180 countries. We have 12 labs. We are actually involved in making standards, testing, auditing, and consultation. Next slide, please. I'm just taking you all quickly through this because we are short of time. So I'll just go through these slides. These slides are basically created by our marketing team, so I have to go through these. So we are into food safety, health sciences, water, and other industrial applications. We are into standard development. We have more than 100 standards which have become the national standards for US. You can always look for NSF, ANSI standards, which are American National Standard Institute standards. So next slide, please. Next slide. So we are having standards. We call them source to tap standards. So anything which comes in contact with water, potable water from source to tap, we have a standard for that, and then we have standards for wastewater treatment components as well as plants. So in the last session here in the same hall, we had Xylem. They're our clients for their pumps. Almost all their potable water pumps are certified by us. NSF 61 and NSF 60, these are the two standards which are in US Clean Drinking Water Act and Safe Drinking Water Act. So any product which has to go to US for potable water use has to be certified by us. So in the last session again, ma'am was here. She was asking about, to share the knowledge. So I'll just start with that point. Next slide, please. So as I said, we have standards for municipal water, for plumbing products, for filtration products, for recreational products like for pools and spas, electrical safety standards, and wastewater. In the last session, again, there was a question from that side about emerging contaminants and PFAS. So we have standards with which we check that the products which they claim that they can remove PFAS or emerging contaminants can actually do that or not. So these are tested in our laboratories to see their efficacies in that. Next slide, please. Next. This is the history of wastewater treatment standards we had. So we started in 1970 with our standard for domestic wastewater treatment. In the US, they have houses which have no other house for another few kilometers. So it is very difficult for them to have a sewage system to cater to all those kind of houses. So they had developed the standards that any products which are used in houses for their own sewage treatment should actually deliver the results. Next slide, please. So these are the standards, NSF 40. These are for the small systems, as mentioned, about 1.5 KLD to 5.6 KLD plants. Then we have NSF 41 for the dry toilets, as sir was mentioning about that whether we should have dry toilets or, sorry, I said solids, dry toilets or the wet toilets. So there are standards which were developed by NSF to check the efficacy of the products that actually they will create the compost during the set duration. And it's not that whatever is coming out of those products are not are not in the form of compost and can further contaminate where they are used in that. NSF 46 and 385 are for the components and devices used in these systems. NSF 245 is the standard to see if there is nitrogen reduction in the water treatment, wastewater treatment plants. And then NSF 350 is for the grey water systems. Next slide, please. So these are how the steps of certification. We actually use the sewage treatment plant water. The lab is within the complex of a sewage treatment plant, and we use actual sewage to test these products. So these products are tested for almost 6 months with live sewage, and we see that actually whatever the results are being claimed by those sewage treatment plants are being delivered or not. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. We have the nearest lab is in Germany, Aachen, and then we have labs in Ontario, Canada, and 2 labs in US. Next slide, please. So these are the policies of our standard, that the product has to be marked with NSF mark. Then testing has to be done once in 5 years. Auditing of the manufacturing units have to be done, and auditing of the sites where the plants are located, where the manufacturer of those plants has installed, those sites are also audited. And there are trained auditors, which are NSF employees, and also there are private players who are doing auditing on NSF's behalf for these installations. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide, please. I'll just quickly go through the... So these are different types of products, one of the kind of products which are tested. Next slide, please. This is the whole process. From application, then submission of the documents, then these are reviewed by our technical team. On-site auditing is done where the manufacturing plants are there to manufacture those sewage treatment plants, the package systems. Those sites are audited, then the sewage treatment plant is tested at on-site within the sewage treatment plant complex where our lab is. Then the results are technically evaluated and the certification is granted. And this process doesn't stop here. After that, there are annual audits of the manufacturing facilities. There are 4 annual audits of the 4 locations where the manufacturer has installed the those sewage treatment plants, package systems. Next slide, please. So these are like in India, we have started, a few years ago, I saw advertisement on TV where Akshay Kumar was, talking about 2-pit toilets. So this is what the 2-pit toilet looks like, and there are standards for that. So basically, here I wanted to talk, leaving apart all this marketing slides, that we have 2 drivers here in India. If we talk about Indian scenario, one, that India needs similar standards. These are American standards. We don't have to copy them, but we can create similar standards as per Indian scenario, because they are standards of like 1.5 KLD or 5.6 KLD. But in India, the population is so huge that even the smallest would be, I think, 5.6 KLD. So we can create these standards so that the actual sewage treatment plants, when they are in this, they're installed, they should actually deliver. Mostly we have seen they'll deliver the results for 1 year or 2 years. Then there are RWAs and others institute. They just forget about those plants. But with these standards, those plants can be checked regularly. There will be, trained staff who could, use those components in a better way that always the results are delivered. And second thing, second driver is like, we have such a good manufacturing facilities here. And right now there is demand for these similar plants in the US. And our manufacturers, we can start exporting these products to US. Right now we have very good relationship with the US. So, though my colleague on dais, sir they are doing big projects, but there are a lot of companies here who are doing just the package systems. They are standard systems which can be installed at, the smaller usage groups. So we can do, so there are two drivers one to standardize the products in India and then to sell these standardized products in international market. That would create revenue streams also for the companies and for India as well. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, it's 4 audits a year done by NSF or companies authorized by NSF or NSF representatives. Next slide, please. Here, with that small package systems, the obligations are with the people who are buying those systems. But as per the standard, the NSF standards, the obligation is with the manufacturer that those systems should deliver the results. Right now, we are, manufacturers deliver that, and after a couple of years, the systems fail. So we have to adopt similar standards in India as well, where the manufacturers, once they have installed, they should be taking care of that. They should be worried about those plants. And so I think this is the need of the hour that, such standards should be created for India. We have standards for what kind of water can be discharged, but we don't have standards for the systems to work to deliver those discharge results. Next slide, please. It's about the process that in case there is technological advancements or technological changes in the system, that have to be told to NSF, and that would be determined by a technical team that whether new testing has to be done or not, or this can be
Singh,
done.
maybe just speed up quickly,
sorry.
because
Yes. Next slide, please. Yeah. So as I mentioned about these, so there is a NSF standard 40, NSF 245. Next slide, please. On 245, the major focus is on nitrogen reduction. Next slide, please. Next slide.
sir, we have to close now,
Yeah.
I think, because we have 3 more speakers.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.